May I have your attention, please?
All right. Let's see. Can you guys can't spell today? Let's see. What's going on, guys? Let's see. All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Yep. We see you. Yep. You are live. Okay, sounds good. There we go. DRN just broke below his support. Getting a bunch of different alerts going on right now. But as we can see right now, I'm not too sure if you guys were able to see that pullback on /GC. I think that has to do with the overall news and alert. This is why I wanted to wait until today if you guys were able to tune in for the Sunday Stock Talk. You guys can see the overall pullback that it experienced. I believe it was at like 13.4, 4.5 or something like that. Let's look at a 2-day analysis. If we could see /GC has been showing a pretty consistent descending pattern, being rejected by this SMA. It is a little bit over on the oversold side, showing signs for a potential reversal. So just a quick little potential lookout as JDST is pushing up right now. If you're up on it and stuff like that, since the call out at around $45, $46, it's currently still trending up. So just letting you guys know that it would not be a bad idea, especially at this $50 resistance. Just make sure you do your own technical analysis if you see any sign of a reversal. Just because this was a very solid support multiple times before, it can act as a pretty solid resistance, as we could see based on previous patterns. So right now, drip is one thing that I wanted to show you guys that a lot of people have been asking is how is it that you execute an order and stuff like that, right? So how is it that I can sell a position on something like TOS, right? One thing that I do is I showed you guys how to set up your hotkeys, and that's in the course itself. We can see through Active Trader the dollar amount that I'm up as of now, so it's $425. There we go. We just got a nice little shot up. Looks like drip is starting to push back up again, up a little bit, over $500 on the day. And what I wanted to show you guys is, especially because my flight, I'm going to cover profits pretty early on this one. I know that it does have a lot of margin to recover. $9 is a pretty solid resistance though. So what I'm going to do is I do option S, and then it gets my order ready to sell. I have 2,500 shares. So all I have to do is simply put this here, 2,500, right? And under order type, I just click limit. I can click stop loss, trailing stop, all that good stuff. I'm going to click a limit order because that's how I want to get rid of it. And then I can choose to put at 9.05 for whatever the case may be. So let's just say I want to get rid at 9.05 with the 2,500 shares. I can confirm and then send the order. And then I could actually see it right here. So it's very easy for me to determine where is it that I'm selling. If all of a sudden I'm looking at level 2 and I see that there's some form of resistance, right? Let's say at 8.95, I can drag and drop at wherever it is that I want to sell it. So if I actually want to sell it at this price point, then I can easily do that just by dropping it at 8.95, and then I could send it, and then it would execute or try to execute at 8.96 and stuff like that. So right now we can see that it's trying to hold above this EMA, which is a pretty good sign, right? So we're getting a nice little push up. The MACD is starting to push back up, which is something that we want to see. Can we get a break above $9? That's going to be, oh, there we go. So we're at $8.99, $9. How's the quality doing? Let's see. Let's see. Alright, so it looks like we have a pretty solid resistance at around $9. So you can see, there we go. So we got buyers at 8.98 and then sellers at $9. Can we break $9? It's pretty solid resistance. And if we do break $9, it might be like a little breakout. Let me actually send this up a little bit higher. There we go. So JDST just broke above, what was that? Okay. So the reason that I'm selling close to or near to this specific price point, as you can see, I'm probably going to get filled right now, up over $675 on the day so far. Let's see. There we go. We got buyers at 902, sellers at 904. Can we get another push up? Let's see. 904, 904, 905. There we go, 905, and getting filled. Order getting filled. Should I? It's pushing up pretty aggressively, and there we go. All right, just got filled. $725 in about 10 minutes. Not bad. Let's see. Let this reset. Good quality. Okay, quality is good. I like that. And again, the reason that I wanted to sell at this specific price point, 100%, I probably sold way too early. First of all, I'm about to catch a flight. Second of all, if you can see, there's pre-market highs. It was around 904, 905. And it just made sense on, with overall market conditions right now, /CL. If you look at the overall pattern, it's not an exact correlation, but it was trying to recover, and I actually didn't really like that. Now, one thing that I also easily determined was that my entry point for drip was way too early. Right now, it's at that $9 price point, and this is the first time that it's really trying to hold above $9. And because of that, like, I would feel much more comfortable, even if I miss out like on a 10% day. Just the overall reassurance of knowing that I'm getting into something that's actively trending up, rather than right now it's very iffy if it's going to continue to hold or anything like that. I want /CL to fully get rejected by that 180-day EMA, and once I have that overall confirmation, that I would feel that much more comfortable holding the larger position sizes. Again, I'm taking around a $20,000 to $23,000 position. As we can see, it's actively trending down and stuff like that, so it makes sense on why drip is now starting to recover in correlation to Gush starting to pull back. So I'm really happy that we're able to take advantage of that opportunity. Same thing with like JDST. Where's that pulling up right now? So JDST is holding above 50. Great price point, right? Great price point on, if it's breaking that resistance level. The only reason that I'm still kind of iffy about it is due to the overall market conditions. Like right now, it's looking like it's a little bit more on the overbought side. It's pushed up pretty aggressively this past week. And usually when it tends to push up very aggressively, it tends to pull back just as quick as well. So I don't want to force anything. Yes, it's actively trending up. This is just the first day. Don't feel like either with drip or with JDST, even if it starts to really progressively push up, don't be afraid to cover profits. We have, if you want to day trade these because they're actively trending up, all power to you. But we want to make sure that we don't force any of these trades, right? So let's see. Looks like I did pretty good with drip. Looks like it has hit highs of like 907 or something like that. I'm not too sure. What is that? Yeah, it's still progressively holding up above this EMA, so it makes sense on that. Let's see. So JDST gapping up. Let's see. Plug in your laptop. Yeah, it is plugged in. Last call for flight. No, my flight is delayed about 1 hour at the minimum. No, actually my flight has been, we're supposed to take off at 6, at 5, like at 6. So we're delayed an hour already. It's supposedly an hour more. Yeah, so I mean, if you guys want to do a couple shout outs for if you guys want me to break down a couple stocks that you guys are looking at, feel free to send them in, and I'll start breaking them down right now just so we can kill some time. I'll probably be I'll be going live again on YouTube just for those that are just subscribed later throughout the day, and I'll be making a follow-up video and stuff like that. But yeah, so right now we got drip still pushing up. Let's see how this is trading. Yeah, so JNUG is definitely still actively trading below the middle VWAP and bottom VWAP. So just watch out for the rejection of the potential reversal of pattern there. This is Skechers. Skechers after its huge drop, just like we called out yesterday. I still think that it's a little bit too early to tell. I think it's still going to continue to drop maybe to $25, and then it'll start, the news and that catalyst will most likely die out. Let's take a look at SQ. SQ is definitely pulling back. Let's look at this. That's actually not bad. So if you look at the overall pattern for SQ as it's pulling back, this doesn't mean that it's a good entry right now. But if you look at the overall support that it's had based on previous patterns, the SMA or the EMA, we might want to look at this in a little bit closer chart. So if you guys want to do like a 10-day to 20-day analysis, it would make sense on why it might potentially bounce closer near to the SMA based on previous patterns, and then when it starts to recover, the margin of profit isn't huge, but anywhere from around 3 to 5% can be pretty consistent if you're able to buy the dips. So this dip is definitely pretty aggressive based on its previous pattern. So just make sure that you take that into consideration as this dip can, can continue to go. It's kind of similar to this pattern right here that you guys see, and this is when it actually descended very aggressively. So let's just make sure that again we start trending up above this EMA on whatever time frame it is that you see, the potential in. So, ooh, drip just broke above 910. There we go. There we go, 910, 911. I like it, I like it. Congrats to all those that are still holding. So we're at 911, 912. How's DGAS looking today? Alright, so we got a couple call outs. I like that. So due to the pullback, if you guys, I'm not too sure. I'm going to have to look a little bit into more detail about it. But if you guys saw the pullback on natural gas, DGAS should have been pushing up, but it's open in red. I actually didn't follow up with that one in the morning, so I'll have to follow up with this one right now. But yeah, it's progressively still pushing down. There's no signs of an uptrend just yet, especially not even intraday. Even if you wanted to day trade it, it wouldn't make much sense as it's still trading in between the middle VWAP and the bottom VWAP, showing signs of a downward pattern. So let's do this. Okay, so natural gas actually started to pick up right as the market opened. That is very unfortunate. JNEG just dropped. That means JDST is pushing up to 50, 40, as you guys can see right here. My goodness. Yep, definitely still pushing up. Looks like it's still bouncing and trying to hold above this SMA and this EMA. So no signs of a downward, no signs of a reversal just yet in favor of DGAS. So it's still a waiting game for that. Let's do some analysis on whatever it is that you guys want me to break down. Mark. Ooh, drip is going to continue to push up. /CL just dropped. So looking at the overall pattern for MARK, I think it's very easy to see that it's showing signs of a descending pattern now. Very easy to determine that with this overall resistance now with this SMA indicator on this 180-day chart. I don't think that this is a good buy by any means. I do see that it's pulling back and that it might bounce here, but based on previous patterns, it's showing a very strong descending pattern. So and also the SMA is acting as a resistance. So not too much potential in my opinion there. Let's see. Okay, so this one had a pretty solid sell-off. No signs of an uptrend pattern just yet. It is pretty volatile, and it looks like it just had a pretty aggressive sell-off. So I would set your alerts based on previous patterns. It had a previous support at around $52. So maybe set an alert when it breaks above 52, or the overall 180-day EMA at around like $53. That would make a little bit more sense. So it could be a good one to potentially follow up with. TELL. So we talked about the, let's talk about ones that I haven't broken down already, because I'm breaking down the same ones like day after day, and I have no issue with that. But I want to make sure that we break down the ones that are actually showing good potential intraday or something like that, or something that we haven't talked about already. But yeah, TEL is still progressively pushing up. It is having a little bit of a red day, not really too significant. It does have a little bit of margin to sell off to at around $10, a little bit sub 10 based on previous patterns. Again, as long as it just continues to hold and bounce and validate this 180-day EMA line, and that's all that really matters. So right now it's still actively trending up. And yeah, there's not much to say about this one. It's a pretty consistent pattern that has a pretty decent margin to profit. So let me see. UAA. Okay, so UAA had the support at around 16. It's trying to push up, trying to push above this SMA line. Sorry about the noise, guys. But I would set your alerts here. It looks like it's done a pretty good job validating this as an overall support. So as long as it continues to do that, then I do see a lot of potential for that. You also have to ask yourself, what's the margin of profit that this thing has to offer? What's the time frame that is required? And then is it going to be able to complete this before its earnings on the 1st? Again, today, so you have a week until its earnings. And within that 7-day period, or just this week, is this something that you're going to be able to make money on? That's going to be worth the trade. And if not, then maybe we might want to wait after earnings. Last time when it had its earnings, there's a pretty solid catalyst for its push up. But again, let's make sure that we take another step back and see that on its other earnings had a pretty solid drop down. So again, that's why I'm very uneasy about holding something like this, especially that is just anything during earnings, especially something like Under Armour that, in my opinion, hasn't actually been doing very well. So yeah, thank you again for the call out. Yep, DWT. DWT showing signs of a strong descending pattern. Again, I have no issue with people trying to trade this if you know how to be able to buy the dips and then sell it at a resistance with the descending resistance. Just know that you are taking on another risk by investing in descending patterns. So that's all I want to say about that. And yeah. So there's a pretty good question here that there's this question. So Mitchell's asking, does your support and resistance change depending on a swing trade or day trade? When you're looking at the 180-day, I see large consistent patterns as well as on the 5-day, for example. Does it depend on your trading style? I think it depends on the overall opportunity cost. So like if I'm trying to, something like, I think JDSTs are a pretty good example right now. So, overall, JDST offers an overall margin from about like $50 to $60, and that potential for profit, I think, should be a little bit over under 20%. So, it offers about 20% potential for profit, and although it does have that potential overall for a potential swing trade, you also have to take into consideration like the pullbacks that it's going to experience on its way back up, right? And also these overall resistance levels that this SMA line and these different indicators and the impact that it might have on it. So although that is the goal, right, to achieve, it's still very important to determine and understand that although that's the goal, it's very important to look at it like intraday and stuff like that to see if it, or even big picture, if it's getting rejected and you want to cover profits, then that there's nothing wrong with that and stuff like that. So support and resistance, yeah, there's some on the big picture and there's some intraday as well. You just have to ask yourself, are you trying to day trade or swing trade? And if so, then your overall plan and pattern that you see value in should correlate to that. So DRIP is doing a lot of consolidation between 9.10 and 9.15. I want to see kind of what's going on here. Yeah, it's doing a lot of consolidation, as you guys can see, from around 9.10 to 9.15. Might be showing signs of a peak formation. CY just broke below 1603. It's actually showing signs of a descending pattern for, there we go, it just broke below 910, and it's going to most likely continue to sell off down to maybe the middle VWAP or the EMA line. So let's see what happens with this. But let's look at CPG. CPG was having a pullback. Not too sure how well it's doing today. Let's see. Yeah, definitely. So CPG is still having somewhat of a pullback. Overall, still in a ascending uptrend pattern, still actively trending up. SQ just broke below 50.30. So actively still trending up. Again, last time it validated the 180-day EMA. This time, it doesn't mean that it's 100% going to. It just means that it can. So just watch out for a potential reversal and keep a very close eye out for the bounce at around the EMA. So it looks like it already pulled back again today, very close to $8, and it started to push back up. So even intraday, it's had pretty good potential. So let's take a look at that. You had a pretty solid drop. It looks like right before the market opened, actually. And then it started to recover, and now it's trading in between the middle VWAP and top VWAP, which is actually a pretty good sign. So let's see. JDST. Wow, drip pulled back pretty aggressively. JDST still actively trending up. I want to see how this one's pushing. Yeah, JDST is showing a very strong up pattern. So again, keep a very close eye on the overall pattern for forward/GC and to see if there's any potential for an overall rejection. But right now, or reversal. Right now, it's still trading in between the SMA and the bottom VWAP. So something, as you can see, it's that's where it's getting rejected right now. So if you see a reversal or break of pattern, that means that it's most likely going to actively trend above the EMA and possibly get rejected by the VWAP, or then continue to recover and then push back up. So let's look at a little bit at the bigger picture. It should be below the 180-day EMA now. Wow. Yeah. So if you guys could see, based on previous patterns, it just means based on its previous pattern, around 1320 is where JDST or where forward/GC usually tends to find a support. Again, it doesn't mean 100% that it has to bounce there. It just means that it has a very common support there. So as long as you have that understanding, you should take that into consideration on how long you should plan on holding JDST. Especially if you plan on swing trading it, you have to ask yourself, hey, this is a very common support for forward/GC, which means that it's a potential peak for JDST. And if it ends up reversing at this period and then starts to recover as in forward/GC, then you have to ask yourself like all the margin that you're going to give back with JDST by holding it overnight. So again, just make sure that you understand the opportunity cost and that the risk/reward is worth it. So yeah, just food for thought, right?
And just an update for those passengers on American Airlines Flight 1943 service to Phoenix. This aircraft that they just got to the gate is deplaning now, so this is clean. We'll get our flight attendants on and do their security and safety check. We will begin boarding the Phoenix flight. We are still calling up passengers that will disconnect in Phoenix to rebook you. So once again, for those passengers going to Phoenix, 1943, if you're just going to Phoenix, this aircraft will be taking you out to Phoenix this morning. If you are connecting, we're still going through our connections. If we have not yet called you and you would like to be helped immediately, you're welcome to go to our customer service desk. It's next to gate 50A as an Alpha, and there's someone there that can assist you as well. Once again, we're currently calling up any passengers connected to Omaha, Baltimore, and Puerto Vallarta.
Guys, we should go to Omaha, Nebraska and visit Warren Buffett. I actually kind of like this pattern that Apple is showing. The only thing that I'm kind of iffy, first of all, Apple is still showing signs of a downward pattern. So if you get in right now, yes, you're potentially getting in at a very low price and stuff like that. But also it has its earnings, and based on the previous time that it sold off like this, after its earnings, it continued to sell off and then broke above the EMA. So that's why confirmation is still, again, very important. You know, we have a pretty decent margin of potential profit, especially for something like Apple that's pretty consistent. So again, if this is something that you see value in and you really understand the pattern, which I don't think it's very difficult to see the horizontal pattern that it has to offer, you know, just be patient. Let's wait for it to either continue to sell off or to actually recover. And I think it would be a smart move to wait after its earnings. So yeah. How's Drip doing? So Drip just had a little bit of a sell-off. Looks like it dropped below the middle VWAP, and if this continues, then I think that this thing can get rejected by that middle VWAP, unfortunately. So let's see how this trades. So JDST is not actively pushing up too aggressively anymore. CPG is pushing up, so that's a pretty good sign. The gas just got rejected by that EMA, so it's getting closer to that $27 support. So yeah, something to look out for. SKX just got rejected and had another great sell-off. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are selling off, so let's just make sure that if you don't see value in anything, you know, don't force the trade. So we just broke SQ. Let's see. I can't see the people behind me. IO. I like that one. Let's do it. And as you guys could tell, my computer is definitely lagging, so I do apologize if it messes up the stream at all. So yeah, IO is still actively trending up. Overall, with this 180-day analysis, it's definitely more on the overbought side. And this is something that someone actually got a direct message by one of our traders. I think he's part of the Learn Plan Prof group. I'm not too sure. And the thing that I just asked him to do was like, watch the video that I uploaded 3 days ago. I talked about the 3 rules that you should ask yourself before you take your next position. And it's, you know, first of all, do you understand the pattern? I think it's very easy for a lot of people to understand this ascending uptrend pattern and how it's continuously been progressively moving up, right? There's no question about that. Very easy to understand when there's a breakup pattern and when it's not. The second thing is, you know, are you getting a good deal? You have to ask yourself, like, this thing that has an overall resistance at around like $30 to $32 and getting in at around $30, I don't know. It just, you know, that margin of profit is not huge, and you have to realize that, right? Again, don't force the trade just to trade for the heck of it. And then the last thing is, or it just comes to opportunity cost. Is this the best overall trade that you can take right now based on that overall margin of profit that it does have to recover? If it is, great, and if it's not, then just, again, very easy to understand that this thing is a little bit on the overbought side. It's approaching this overall resistance. It got rejected by $30. Yes, it can continue to push up, but how much more does it have to give off, especially because of how, you know, usually when it does push up this aggressively, then it does, you know, tend to sell off. So you want to make sure that you take that into consideration, stuff like that. So let's take a look at so drip is showing signs of a potential recovery. Let's see. Nope, still getting rejected. Still getting rejected by this EMA. So, yeah. DGAS had a nice little pop up. That's really nice to see. Let's see how. I really want to take a position just because of how overbought it is. Do you see this curling pattern for natural gas? And you can see that based on previous patterns, it is at a little bit more of an overbought side, so it's not such a good deal. The SMA line is still showing signs of a descending pattern, so it's still pointing down, although it's progressively pushed up. And it's just because of this random push that it had up. So let's see. Yeah, and it's definitely getting rejected. So I do see intraday potential in DGAS. I'm a little iffy about my flight and how that's going to act. Yep, there's the rejection. Let's take a look at DGAS, guys. This is what I'm potentially going to trade. Please don't trade based on my, you know, like because of my overall position, stuff like that. So let's take a look at how large my position can be. I'll first take a $10,000 position at around 27. We'll do 27.35. So let's go ahead and set that up. So we're gonna do command buy right here. We'll just click edit. We'll do 300 shares, and it looks. I would like to buy as close to as I can to this EMA line. Do you guys see what it is that I'm looking at? So right now we got, ooh, it's pushing up pretty aggressively. So that's good and all, but again, I don't want to buy in when it's when everyone else is buying, right? Because there's too much hype pushing up. So we might see a slight rejection around this middle VWAP. So let's see what happens. We might get a little bit of a pullback, and I want to make sure that I can get in pretty quickly. At or close to, so I'll do 27.25. And I could always move it up if I actually want to get filled, right? So at a specific price point. So, what the heck?
All travelers, if any unknown person attempts to give you any item,
That's why.
transport on your flight,
It's supposed to be 400 shares.
and notify airline personnel immediately.
There you go.
Do not leave luggage unattended. All carry-on and checked luggage is subject to search.
So you guys saw how I just did that, right? Sounds good, sounds good. Let's see. I like that, I like that. So we're getting a slight little rejection. I'll stay live. What the heck? I thought he called me. I was like, I don't know you, sir. Let's see. So drip, we have it right around $8.98. Where do we have JDST? JDST is right around 50.50, and that's exactly where we kind of left it off. TELL. CPG still pushing up. That's nice to see. I believe CPG is approaching overall highs. So, freaking crap, it bounced. Okay, so it's pushing up pretty aggressively right now. Still gonna try to be a little patient. Let's see. Let me look at the overall pattern right now. Give me 1 second. Why am I looking at CL? Come on, Rick. Actually, do you guys see how right now as this thing is pulling back that it has the potential to consolidate and bounce right around the middle VWAP? I think because of that overall potential, again, the middle VWAP was acting as a resistance as it was pushing up. And as this thing is pulling back, again, older resistance levels can become new support levels. So one thing that I want to take into consideration is to make sure that I don't get in too early on DGAS as when this thing might start to reverse, and I end up getting at the very top for DGAS and stuff like that. So hope that makes sense. So DGAS, yep, just broke above 27.50, still pushing up. That's great and all, you know, it's doing great. But I need to make sure that I don't force my trade, and that I understand both ends of what it is that I'm trading, especially because these are inverse ETFs of one another. So let's check. I have a Pop-Tart. I'm so hungry. There we go. Oh my god. I have a bunch of food here. This thing is holding. There it goes. Man. Alright. So I like that it's really starting to hold in between the middle VWAP. So that's something that we definitely want to see. It's still slightly below the SMA line. So that's something that we want to take into consideration. Drip just broke above $9. It just approached 9.10. So that's pretty attractive. That's a pretty solid margin within itself. Just approaching, 9.10 overall from 8.90. Isn't huge margins, but that's about 2 to 3%. So not bad. Still showing signs of a pretty solid descending pattern. Alright, so we see that it's starting to slowly recover for /NG. Oh, there we go. So again, I took a about a 40% position, I'd like to call it. So again, I didn't go full-fledged with my overall account, right? I wanted to just add, and I'm going to continue to add to my positions as it continues to trend up. And do we have a bounce at this middle VWAP? Let's see. So overall, again, just wanted to explain to you guys the pattern that I tend to see at around $28 to $30, just like I did last time. I also did an analysis on natural gas, and how overextended it looked and how it usually gets rejected right around this 2.75 price point. It looks like it's making lower highs, which is great for those that are looking to get in for when natural gas begins to reverse and stuff like that. So looking at it at the 1 day 1 minute chart, we can see that it's trying to push right back up again. We want to make sure that we keep an eye on the direction that this EMA line is pointing, and for natural gas it's still pointing down. So it's definitely still in favor for DGAS. Let's see how UGAS looks. UGAS should be at support, yeah, so it's showing signs of a potential bounce. What I would like to see is for this thing to get rejected and then continue the downward pattern. I want to see the intersection between the EMA and the SMA, and then the continuous downward pattern for something like UGAS and /NG. And then I'll add more to my position on DGAS. So again, my position isn't very huge, nothing like that. Yeah, up $8. Maybe I should go buy myself a burger with those $8. And then for those that tuned in a little bit late, I ended up covering profits pretty early, no question about it, on drip. And that was $725 within like 10 minutes. So that was of the market opened, right? So appreciate that, Kenny. Killing it. I like it. Alrighty, guys. So looks like drip is now making lower highs, which is not something that is very attractive. We might see it continue to try to bounce at around this SMA line. It looks like it's validating that as an overall support. So let's make sure that we take that into consideration. But again, that's why I'm not trading something like JDST today.
1943. We need you to listen closely. If we call your city, you can come up to us and see us at the podium. If we do not call your city, that means that you are still good to board this aircraft, which will be boarding here shortly, and continue on to Phoenix. Once again, if you're going to Des Moines,
okay.
Omaha,
So,
Baltimore, Nebraska, if you're going to Pittsburgh,
what was I saying?
Tucson, Cancun, El Paso, San Antonio, Philadelphia,
something like
Detroit, and Tampa. Please see us
like
here at
JDST and drip, although both of them are actively trending up, like based on overall patterns and showing some pretty good signs of an overall reversal.
Then you're good to board this aircraft to Phoenix. So once again, Tampa, Detroit, Philadelphia, San Antonio.
The reason why that I don't want to swing trade, I see nothing wrong with day trading it, right? Any of these, the JDST and DRIP, as long as you see value in them and you know how to trade them. You guys can even trade the inverses of like, not even the inverses, but what are they? The ones that offer similar patterns, like JDST, I think has a very similar pattern to DUST, and then JNUG offers a very similar pattern to NUGT. So there's nothing wrong with day trading it, but when it comes down to swing trade potential, I personally think it's a little bit too early to tell. If you are fully set on holding it and swing trading it, all power to you. I'm just not there yet. It's too early for me to tell. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I do apologize for. I would really appreciate it if you can stop promoting the gold ETFs. I 100% like understand, like you've been calling them out like throughout the entire live stream. Again, I get it. I just really need you to stop encouraging other people to trade a specific ETF. So if you can do me that favor, that would be great. Appreciate it. Nice. So we'll just see a little bit too early, but still took 2K profits. Wow, that's really nice to see. What laptop are you using? I'm using a MacBook Air. It's a little bit outdated. It's a 2013 version. But yeah, guys, I don't want to take too much of your guys' time. I'm gonna try to prepare for my flight. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep, so can definitely use more of that. And I'll keep you guys up to date with my overall DGAS position. Something that I'll do is I'll set an alert for when there's an overall intersection between and actively, fully training up, and then I'll keep you guys up to date. If I end up taking another position, another 300 share position on DGAS as it progresses up. But yeah, that is pretty much it. There's a slight pullback real quick on JDST, so just keep an eye out for that. 100%. No, I know that you're very active and you do very good with your technical analysis and stuff like that. I can't have anyone promote anything and stuff like that. I hope you understand. So, but thank you again for the great call outs. I see value in everything it is that you were saying as well. But I just don't want people to think that we're shoving something down the throat and stuff like that. So, put the pillow to use. I know, guys, ever since I've bought this plane pillow, I have never slept in the plane. So it kind of sucks. But yeah, that's really just it. So I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. I'll keep you guys up to date with my flight and how that ends up turning out. But yeah, let's keep it consistent. If you guys are able to identify a pretty solid pattern, then set up a plan and plan out something that works well for you. If you're not, don't force it. We have a lot of potential with JDST and drip. We just have to be patient and make sure that we see overall recovery. Also keep a very close eye out for Apple and that overall recovery. And then SKX, also because of that huge dip buy, we have a lot of margin to recover on a lot of these stocks. So let's just be patient. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And like always, let's make sure that in the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.